In 1918, the town of Grinnell, Iowa experienced two epidemics at once, Spanish influenza and typhoid fever. During the fall of 1918, the Student Army Training Corps, otherwise known as SATC, was established at Grinnell to train young men, including Grinnell College students, to fight in World War I. The SATC is believed to have been a major contributor to the spread of the Spanish influenza, taking the disease far from the front lines of the war. By October 1918, a series of obituaries of civilians started appearing in the Grinnell Herald and Grinnell Register newspaper, even of those who seemed healthy a few weeks before. While the townspeople were combating the Spanish influenza, another silent killer emerged in the community, typhoid fever. Since typhoid fever and Spanish flu had several overlapping symptoms such as body aches, cough, and extreme fatigue, the two diseases were often mistaken for each other at the time. By mid-October, there were over 100 reported cases of the Spanish influenza and typhoid fever in Grinnell. On October 15, 1918, Mayor D.F. White called for Grinnell citizens to refrain from all public gatherings and put the town under a state of quarantine. The Grinnell Municipal Hospital still remained open to treat the growing number of patients. However, the Grinnell Hospital began to run out of space to house and care for everyone. To compensate for the growing number of patients, the Newton Country Club opened its building to provide care, and a woman named Dora Pottle offered her home on 1405 Park Street. On October 25th, Mayor D.F. White lifted the quarantine regulations but reinstated them almost immediately due to the continued spread of the flu. Nonetheless, the Spanish influenza and typhoid fever continued to spread rapidly, especially amongst families. This was because people often quarantined at their own homes, causing a secondary spread as family members tried to care for their loved ones. Donovan Evans, one survivor of the flu, wrote about his experience losing 3 older siblings to the Spanish influenza and typhoid fever. At that period of time, I was 4 years old. I remember of attending Floyd's funeral. On coming home, I remember of telling Elsie, who was sick at that time, of how we left Floyd in a box. Home was quarantined after that. I didn't get to attend the funerals of Elsie and Gladys as I had contracted the flu, he wrote.
The town was able to take steps other than quarantine to combat and prevent typhoid fever. According to Dr. John Hamilton, a bacteriologist invited by the city council to investigate the typhoid fever epidemic, the disease was caused by outdated production systems which contaminated the milk supply. This was because many of the milkmen in Grinnell at that time did not believe in the germ theory and did not see the need to pasteurize milk. The doctor also pointed out that many secondary infections of the disease were due to improper discharge from the intestinal and urinary tract in a considerable number of cases, which infected the family members of those who were quarantined at home. After Dr. Hamilton's criticism of the milk production system in Grinnell, the town required the use of pasteurization and sanitation in milk plants and employed a full-time health officer that monitors the health and sanitation within the city and schools. And to prevent secondary infections from improper waste disposal, the town established a complete sewer system, and households were required to remove all outhouses and connect to the central sewer.
The Spanish influenza and typhoid fever epidemics were turning points in the history of public health in Grinnell that transformed both the milk production and sewer systems and led officials to understand the importance of prompt quarantine and sufficient healthcare resources. Grinnell has implemented some of the lessons it learned from previous pandemics and epidemics to prevent the further spread of diseases and provide a better care for its community. In 1919, 2 new hospitals opened in Grinnell, ensuring that the town would have more capacity for patients in case of medical emergencies like the Spanish flu and typhoid fever. The 2 new hospitals later merged into Grinnell Regional Medical Center, which still serves the community now and was crucial in treating COVID-19 patients. Hopefully, the government and residents of Grinnell will continue to learn from the challenges related to public health in the future, like it did in the past.